Speak to the chair, just like that town meeting. Okay, we have a brand new sound system again. Supposed to work better. Get all messed up. We have no minutes tonight. We're gonna do the first project on staff as well. Again, we're cutting and then we're gonna do from Eversource for the gas line. And then we'll get into the question.
Well, there's someone out. I don't know.
Danielle, are you on? Is the person who had this person on here? Oh, Bill, I did.
Bill, can you hear us yet?
Ah, there.
Ah, thank goodness.
All right.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was
Okay, Phil, can you give us a short description of your project?
sure. I'm glad that was working. I'm not technologically savvy at all. Sure. So again, my name is Philip London. I'm with the SWCA. I'm a wetland scientist there. And this project that we submitted a notice of intent for, it's by Eversource Gas Company in Mass. They're proposing to install approximately 1,400 feet of 6-inch polyurethane natural gas pipeline in Summers Road by the intersection of Main Street, or starting by the intersection with Main Street, and about 150 feet of 2-inch gas main off of Hickory Lane at the intersection with Summers Road. All construction work would be within the existing road layouts, the paved areas. It'd be by open, direct burial, open trench. So the trenches would typically be about 2 to 3 feet wide, 4 feet deep. And they'd put the side cast material right next to the trench, and then at the end of the day, they'd backfill. So they're expecting maybe to install about 300 feet a day, lasting maybe about a week. So the resource areas involved. The road does cross the Scannick River Bridge. So at the bridge. So at the bridge crossing, they are just hanging it on the side of the bridge. So there'll be no work, other than attaching it to the side of the bridge. There'll be no trenching in the bridge or going into the river or anything like that. So
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit more about how they're going to attach it to the bridge without touching the bottom of the river?
They're attaching it to the side of the bridge, working from the bridge. So they're not going, and no equipment is going to be inside the channel at all.
Okay.
They'd be working from the top of the bridge down to the side of it. So just the resource areas involved, and I'm assuming you have the plans in front of you. So obviously we delineated the Scannick River. So that has a bank and land underwater, and there's a 200-foot riverfront area associated with that. From FEMA floodplain maps, we just overlaid the limits shown on the mapping. So there is some floodplain that does encroach into the road adjacent to the river. Obviously floodplain, obviously buffer zone, and the town's 200-foot no disturb zone as well.
That's amount of the picture we took.
And there are, we did identify 2 wetlands. One an isolated wetland kind of in the southern extent. And then along the river, riverbank, the southern bank, on the west side, there is a little kind of BVW fringe. All the work is going to be in the road, and the road is going to be restored to, existing conditions. It's just going to be repaved afterwards. So, there are no BVW impacts. The floodplain elevations, they're going to be maintained. Riverfront area, same thing.
Yeah, that one, that's good.
And I just, controls, while this is going on, the plans do show locations where, they would be putting some erosion control barriers, by the bridge and by the wetland. They'd be put along the edge of the road within the easement where it's more grassed. Catch basins, would get inlet protection, silt sacks. When they pull up the erosion controls, the areas will be, seeded with a grass seed mix, since it's basically lawns. And, you get some straw mulch down. for stabilization. Dewatering, I guess, if that is needed, that'll, again, you can't dewater on the pavement, again, they'd put up a little dewatering structure, adjacent to the paved area within the easement. I should say, Eversource has been in, consultations with the DPW director, just coordinating this work. And they are looking at a start date of about October 18th. And again, to last about a week. Yeah, I think that's.
There's a wellhead protection area there. Is it a public well or a private well?
That I honestly do not know. Wellhead protection area. Is there a concern with that from like the trenching or?
Yeah, it was noted that there was no change in the impermeable surface, but that it would intrude on the wellhead protection area.
Okay. Are there particular impacts that would be concerned about? I mean, from the actual pipeline construction, is there?
No,
Putting the main below ground? Okay.
part of it is checking the forms, whether it's a public or private
Oh,
concern.
okay. Is that on the NOI form?
Yep.
And it wasn't done?
No, I have to check it. I don't
Oh,
know
you
what
have to
it is.
check it. I'm sorry. I would assume it's public.
Can you
but
find out and email
Yeah.
us?
Absolutely.
Cindy, Tom, Greg, do you have any questions?
No.
It's complicated. There's a lot of wetlands and a lot of bank. Does anybody in the crowd have a question? You're allowed to ask. You're just not allowed to vote.
Mhm.
I will note that Andrew has recused himself from voting because he works for Eversource.
Okay.
Question I got is, all the excavation work, is that going to be removed?
Yeah.
Not close enough. Is that going to be removed every night? And is it going to be, where's this, spoils going to be stored? When you're putting
It's-
the pipes in?
Sure. So it's going to be side cast right next to the trench. And then at the end of each day, they're only going to do enough that they can backfill each day. So, that material will be returned to backfill the trench. And then anything that's excess would be hauled off site and taken to an approved disposal site.
Next question is everything in the paved area that's being trenched, or is any of it off the side of the road?
It's in the road. The actual trench line would be in the road.
There's a
Okay.
little bit at the ends of the bridge where it has to come up to get on the bridge, where it's going to go into the 25-foot no disturb zone of the river. And other than that, I don't think there's other.
Also, is it paved? Is it repaved every night, or is it going to be left exposed dirt and pave all in one time?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would assume it would be repaved one time when it's done.
So my only concern would be, because we are in hurricane season and
Sure.
it is very close, if we do have any heavy rains or anything that could wash right, especially being a trench cut right towards the bridge, that could wash in. So I would make a recommendation that if we see a hurricane or anything that's going to happen within that week or heavy rainstorm, maybe postpone it to another week.
I have a condition that says no work shall be performed adjacent to resource areas or catch basins during heavy rain conditions to minimize runoff and washout situations. Is there
Yeah.
anything you would add to that? Like all the trenches must be repaved or have to be covered or?
I'm afraid. hurricane season, you got hurricane, it's not pavement time. It's all. That's the trend up right to the river.
Yeah, so how would you put that? It has to be repaved prior to any hurricane,
Prior to any major,
weather events?
yeah, major weather events, yeah.
Yeah, what major weather event would be a good wording.
You know, no, and that's a good condition, you know, just in general, working with construction crews, they're really fine tuned into the weather. You know, it's a big deal, you know, for them to be doing work and then have a major event go on and, you know, just screw up the erosion controls and cause problems. So yeah, that's a good condition.
Okay, some of these you've already spoken about. The attached conditions that we're adding are erosion control barriers must be between the work and the wetland resource areas. Appropriate erosion controls will consist of straw wattles or similar. Catch basins must be protected with filter fabric or barriers to ensure that sediments do not enter the drainage system. No work shall be performed adjacent to resource areas or catch basins during heavy rain conditions to minimize runoff and washout situations. Project areas must be repaved prior to major weather events. Working with loose soil should be limited to that which can be completed and restored within a day. Unavoidable soil stockpiles must be outside resource areas or buffers and must be covered and must be surrounded with barriers if left overnight. So that means you can't, even if you cover it, you can't leave it in a buffer. You have to move it away farther. Is that okay? Can you deal with that?
Sure. Is that the end of each day or during the actual work?
That's anything left overnight.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. No, that's more than acceptable.
Erosion controls will be inspected on a regular basis and maintained in working conditions and until all disturbed areas are stabilized. I should say, our understanding is you're hiring a special consultant to be a.
Yeah, actually, SWICA, sure. SWICA is going to provide a kind of environmental monitor or inspector.
And they'll be there every day, or they'll go there every day?
They will be there on site most days. I don't know if
Okay.
they'll be there every day, but
In the event that trench dewatering is necessary, water will be pumped from the excavation to a dewatering container. Under no circumstances will trench water or other forms of turbid water be directly discharged into or onto any wetland or water body. Since the gas pipe will be underground, there is a presumption that there will be no permanent alteration of the landscape. All non-paved areas will be replaced to a state at which they were prior to the job. Any sod or other plantings shall be replaced in kind or with reasonable alternative. Any additions, questions?
Not for me.
Want to call the vote?
You looking at me?
Yeah, go
Oh.
ahead.
Do we have a, who's the number?
Only DEP number?
Don't we usually read that?
Yes.
Mm.
Here it is.
Is that 25-year buffer clearly indicated somewhere for your crew?
the 25-foot buffer.
Yeah, was it the 50-foot buffer, I guess?
Are all the buffers flagged?
In the wet right now, the wetlands and the banks are flagged. The offsets are not, but they can be, staked during when the work is starting, so people know where they are.
Yeah, I just wanted them to have a good idea of where the buffers are.
Can you make sure that the no disturb zone by the bridge is flagged especially?
Sure. Yes.
Okay,
All right, so notice of intent, Hickory Lane Gas Main Reliability Project, Hampden, Mass. By Eversource Gas Company. DEP 1730234. Notice of intent and order of conditions. And we want to vote approval.
Well,
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
are those approved?
All those for, anybody against?
Nope.
So move.
So moved.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sorry about holding you up.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. Thanks.
We'll get this out to you next week when our secretary comes back.
Okay, sounds good.
It'll be late week.
Okay, great. All right. Enjoy. I'm leaving.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Is Danielle on?
Hold on, I'm trying to get there. The buffering is awful. Come on. There we go. Who are you looking for?
This is her copy.
Danielle? No, no Danielle.
She had emailed Cindy that she was waiting.
But there's no one here.
She get bumped out when you rebooted?
Well, but I would think she'd come back in.
Maybe you should email her to retry on it right now. Okay. We lost our next applicant. She was on, now she's off.
Center.
I don't want to get into 5:30 until because that's longer. Well, it shouldn't take super long, but. Yeah, she's quick. All right, we're gonna have to go without her.
Is she
Um,
answering? No.
Well, we don't really have to have her. We can just proceed. This is an application for 00 Stafford Road to cut 1 acre of forest and to put in a driveway. It's a completely forested property with natural heritage overlap. There's a hydrological connection in the front of the property. We still need to have a site visit where you're going to be looking for that hydrological connection, making sure there's nothing over it. And we need to continue it to the 19th. So she has time to get her MISA review back. I think it's so she can sell the property, so, yeah.
They're trying to get it ready to sell the property. Well,
Yeah.
you don't know necessarily.
Well, somebody has to get into the property.
Right, right, but they could change the driveway after they sell
They
it
could
to a new buyer,
relocate it.
so it wouldn't necessarily be permanent. It's temporary until the new owner
But they
takes.
will have to get a permit, and if there's anything crossing where that hydrological shows on the maps, then they have to do a crossing, so that's gonna be a critical. Okay, so we need a vote to continue from today to October 19th.
I'll make a motion to continue this October 19th.
I second it.
Second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay,
Bonnie can contact us for a site visit then.
She's on vacay for a week.
she's on vacation, so,
Well, I mean, we have till the 19th. so-
yeah, but somebody should arrange it and we get it booked soon. Can you, when you do that?
Right now. I'm deep in.
How would you,
She
Joan,
just said
you
it
pick a
right.
day and call her up?
Huh?
She's out of state. I don't think she has to be there.
The
yet,
range
so
for the
she'll-
site visit.
Ah,
That
okay.
lady.
Maybe we'll wait till Connie comes back.
Yeah, I can do that.
Can you?
Yeah.
She'll do
Okay,
it.
There's the other one too.
yes.
Let's see. Oh, God, yeah, we gotta do that too.
Yeah.
Can we still see at 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
We can try to schedule something at 6 o'clock
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
next.
6 o'clock. Any night better than another for everybody? I'm off next week. So you're going next week?
So make it for the week after.
I'm busy the third Wednesday at 6 o'clock every week.
Okay, just email everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the 530 Glendale project. You guys want to come up here?
Now that I hopefully have the sound working, push the button on right there by the number on your mics. Brand new system we just installed today,
Yeah,
and I had a crash course in it.
okay. So we don't have any of your maps ready to post, so you can put them up or however you want to do it. You have big maps with you?
Yeah, I have some copies here.
Can we lay them
Small
out so
ones.
people could look at them?
Sure.
Where can we put them? Table?
Over there, there it is.
Yeah, steal that one.
Rory, well, maybe for if you introduce the three of you to the public.
Certainly. Should I wait till everybody sits down again and then I'll?
Yeah,
go?
yeah.
No problem. Absolutely. I apologize for not doing that.
Thank you.
Your last.
Oh, great. Nice to meet you.
Liberty. Steve.
You want to set?
Yeah, it's just swallow.
Good going, guys.
Oh. You should pass this one. This is standard. She says.
Letter and some extra info. It's emailed over.
Just for the records, this is Steve Ripperty from Good Art Consulting, wetland scientist. Myself, Rory Walker, 0 Point Energy or Glendale Road Development, the applicant. This is Nick Fessendola, Level Design, civil engineer.
I mean, if you have an email, I could send it to this fine gentleman with the computer.
Ted, yeah, send it to Concom and it'll come up on this
I
computer.
will forward it right now.
Yeah, I thought I sent it to. Conservation. Yeah, I thought I sent it to.
I'll do it right.
the Concom
It would be
email.
better if everybody can see it.
Okay.
So many pieces of paper here.
What you want us to do?
So Rory just forwarded it again.
One of our problems, we have bandwidth problem here. So if you notice, if I click too fast, I lose track because it's not responding. What's gonna come in as?
Yes,
It'll
I
come as
did
a
that all.
forward from myself, sir.
Okay,
It'll be a forward from an email that was entitled,
here it
530
is.
Glendale.
That's it? Okay. Which one?
Oh, the one on the right there, yep. Look at that, huh?
Technology.
Right?
Once I learn how to run it.
Oh, we didn't close the hearing.
What?
We have to close the,
Oh, the previous.
we didn't close the previous hearing.
I will wait.
So we will now close the previous hearing.
Make a motion to close the previous hearing.
All in
Those in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Closed. Now we will reopen the continued hearing for 530 Glendale for the ANRAD. I want to talk a little bit first about, we got a letter of concern signed on behalf of all the residents. 90% of the issues that were addressed in that letter have to do with what would come up in an NOI, not in the ANRAD. Since the ANRAD only addresses wetlands and wetlands delineation, river streams, marshes, bogs, flood zones, all that. It doesn't include stormwater or noise or animal habitat or any place that a structure would be or sound, or access roads, all that comes in an NOI, and that will be a whole separate application. So we will forward that letter to the other boards, and we will set it aside to make sure we reconsider all those issues when the NOI comes up. All right, we also have a tie-in bond. I want to make sure before we lose anybody. We have a tie-in bond consulting addendum to extend. Where'd I put it? Yes, to extend their peer review to cover the new information that could get presented tonight in the revised plan and map. The projected cost is $3,400 or less. There's about, there's $1,900 left in the account still. But she hasn't billed us for the hours that she was online last time. And I'm not sure how much per hour they cost, so I'm guessing we have about $1,700 left. So the extra will have to get sent the same as you did before.
I don't foresee any problem with that, Ms. Judy. The money is not the issue I'd like to discuss. It's just the timing will be, but at the appropriate time.
Okay, all right, has everybody on the commission reviewed the contract? All those in favor?
Aye. Any opposed? No.
Okay. Oh, I just scribbled on.
Ed.
Okay,
The original email, sir, was from the 7th. I just forwarded the new email from yesterday. Would you
This
mind
is an
going
old
back?
one?
Yeah,
Thank you.
just a second ago. So if you would mind, this plan set has the 6th on it. Nick made a comment, and the plan that we like to discuss has the date of the when needed.
That's okay. That one is,
Right side?
Yes, sir.
okay, that's more appropriate.
This one right now?
Yes, that's the correct one.
I got enough problems with you. The wrong stuff. Come
That's
on, man.
me, Ted. I apologize.
we ready?
I guess.
You want to turn up the microphones a little?
They're up. We don't have a broadcast.
Are yours green at the bottom?
Ma'am.
Yeah, we don't have a broadcast mic. That's the
No.
problem. This is all.
Feel free to
input.
pull your chairs up.
Closer.
There's no speaker that goes in.
Yeah.
The
So you-
microphones are only input to the video.
I will.
You okay? Oh, okay, so you three
I
need
will
to
make sure
speak
to
up.
articulate.
Okay,
If there is one, I don't know.
all right, you wanna,
Sure. So for the record, Nick Fasendola, Level Design Group. We prepared the plan we are looking at. Steve from Goddard was on site and did a lot of the updated flagging that was detailed in the time bond letter. Essentially, we don't disagree with any of their comments. We made all the requested field edits to the wetland resource boundary. Stream is currently shown, well, the stream that was in question is currently shown as a perennial stream. We have both sides of the bank located as it travels through the property. I've added the 100-foot, 200-foot riparian zones from each side of said bank. We flagged and located the intermittent stream channel that runs through that big center wetland. It's that like cyan color.
Okay, I'll stop you there because they had noted 2 places
Are you up in here?
and I only saw on the map one stream.
Where was
They
the
had
other
noted
location?
another one that was between. Yeah, 2 that were within that wetland. One is way on the left. The one between 30 and 61 is the one that you did. They had noted another one between 129 and 144.
Flag 121?
129 to 144. They said it flowed between those 2 spots. So as I mapped it, it kind of goes down the western side of that wetland. No, I'm sorry, up in the upper side. 129 to 144 is the one you mapped. I'm sorry. The other one is 61 to 30 to 61, but actually it's 61 to 30. It's way over there. I have the numbers circled on here if it helps.
See, I don't see that. It's not showing you that. I don't know if you're hearing the read with the Zoom people.
So it's not invited.
Here's 30, and it's that's a fun down. And it goes here's 61. It goes down.
Okay. So kind of right through this area.
Yeah, so it was between 129. I mean, 61 and 30, so it's like up right up through this.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you map that?
Sure, we'll get that next. I guess that's the only thing that's not on here. It's the large one.
The other thing I'll just bring up since I'm on, was there was a,
I don't know what they're
they thought
talking
that
about. I
this
can't figure
wetland
it out.
didn't go out far enough.
We updated that, yep. Should have been in the letter that. Ian Goddard prepared.
Yeah, it's 400, it's like 469.
Yeah, that's over here. See all these, anything with an R,
It's a new flag.
Ah,
new
okay.
flag.
Great, thank you.
Because that line kind of, it kind of ran like, essentially
Yeah.
from here up, so it got
Yeah.
expanded, yeah, in that
Okay,
area.
good. Okay.
Okay,
Where are you? Oh, yeah.
Okay, there were 2 streams that showed, actually 3 show on the GIS, but Ty and Bonnet only noticed 2. One goes here to here down the side. They've marked that one. You can see it.
You're,
If you
Right
go
up
to
in here.
that big kind of
you're this
island
one
of
here,
wetland,
this one here,
it's off to the right side.
that's the one.
Yeah, it's there.
that one there.
That's the one that's 129 to 144, et cetera. It keeps going.
Okay.
And then there's one way to the left of that upland island. In that little division in there,
This-
where it says wetland, right in that big spot.
Down.
Way down here,
Yeah, goes through there.
and it's not marked.
It's not marked,
Okay,
but he's going to.
okay.
Okay.
So it's in this area where I'm going.
Yeah, it's through the middle of the wetland in that
area.
Yeah, it's in the wetland, so
Okay,
it doesn't actually change, but it could, since it's for 3 years, and activities can change. Some things can go in wetlands, but they can't go across streams, so it makes a difference.
you folks follow that out there? It's where I've been showing the cursor going down through. There should be a marked river in there, right where
Okay.
my cursor's going up and down.
And
Yeah, I don't think
Lower-
it goes
lower
that
end.
high. I think Yeah, stay
Lower
lower
end,
end.
from the word wetland down.
Wetland
Hey.
down in here.
Yeah.
Those are just essentially ditches that
Yeah.
water
I'm
concentrates
making sure that.
flows through. Well, rivers one, yeah, so it's not like a perennial stream like the big stream with the buffer. It's an intermittent stream that's just a channel that runs through the wetland where water kind of collects and drains through that
Yeah.
wetland area.
these,
okay?
we don't have any contention with them being intermittent. They're clearly
Yeah, no, I'm just
channels.
clarifying for the
Yeah.
audience that
Yeah.
the two types of streams and that it's the second type, not the first type.
Okay.
So, yeah, I guess other than that item, I mean, we did look at the isolated wetland area. We located it. It's well under an eighth of an acre. And
Yeah, it's about a
area.
16th of an acre, so
so, you know, we label it as
unless they
non-jurisdictional.
object to that, that's fine. with
Yeah,
us.
no, we labeled it as non-jurisdictional wetland, isolated wetland. Yeah, no, and that's pretty much it. There was some modified flags over by the main entry, that main driveway up through there.
Up in here.
Yeah, that were discussed
Oh, yeah,
last
they
meeting.
moved this section north, right?
Yeah, so we buttoned that up. That's all been reflagged. You go to the plan, not the first page, but the other sheets, you'll see there's some R flags with that revised designation going through that area. That's, third sheet. And you can see here, right around flag 400, 401, and we have 402R is where it kind of ends up and goes around the property line.
Which one you want? Map,
Sheet 3. Yep, let's go to the third page.
that one?
Right.
So you see where the property line,
Move your pointer over. Don't even have to move that. Go up. Up.
Wait a minute.
No, don't even, yeah, move the pointer up. No, don't have to move the screen, just where your arrow is, so you
Yeah.
can point to the right spot.
Oh, you want me to point to it?
Yes,
I
right,
thought you
point
wanted
to
me
the
to
right
move the
spot, so we
screen.
can see
I
it.
misunderstood.
so
down,
down,
green line.
right
to
there.
the
Oh,
Yeah,
right
you
there.
go.
starting right there.
So that line was,
Yeah, where it says all the way up and around. Yeah, Steve will kind of. Yeah.
yes,
So we.
okay.
It now takes
Yeah.
up more area within the,
I did have that marked.
so that wetland got bigger. Some of the other ones got smaller based on the comments. So we did take care of that part. And then there's also a little section that's to the north of that driveway that had some revised flags too. So yeah. Those are the main changes that were made in the field. But like I said, we don't pose any of the comments. You know, I think we all have a good idea of what the wetland boundaries are out there. Where everything is, so. I guess,
I noticed that they didn't go into John's property to follow up to the impoundment up to the farm pond. So if in your NOI, that part might have to be delineated. It's a little part. Right, and if you're expanding the access, for instance, that would come into question, so you would have to get that marked.
Judy, I don't want to speak for you, but just clarifying what the net exactly from the entrance, sir, to where.
Are you
the
talking
parcel
north
is.
of the property? or-
Wherever
Yeah,
that
The,
house up there,
because
this
they
one.
didn't feel like they had permission, Ty and Bond did not check there's a piece of the stream that goes on to John's property and up to the pond.
Okay.
And that hasn't been verified because they didn't ask for the.
yeah, I mean, I don't believe that
I don't think they had the
residential
question.
dwelling is gonna be part of the project.
It would only come into question if the road has to be widened.
I can't speak to that yet. We'll have to assess
Yeah.
that.
So
Or the
just so
NOI.
you know in advance,
Understood.
but, I don't have any questions. They didn't raise any questions, so. I think they looked as much as they could, off the property. Right, are there any other questions about where things are or what things are? You all know what a bordering vegetated wetland is?
Well, back.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
can, yeah.
And state your name so it gets into the,
We can't necessarily hear you, but the video will.
yeah, it's hard to do the
Yeah, it
minutes
should
because
be
you
lit.
can't hear
Yeah,
names.
push the, there you go. Thank
Okay.
you.
Gina Stabilo, Ames Road. I have a couple questions, of course, about the map. Ty and Bond wanted them to correct flags GC 110 to 117, which is the highest point where the stream starts on the very top. Where the internet,
Sorry.
where the stream in the middle of the BVW is.
Up in here somewhere?
No, go to the right.
This right?
No, go
Oh, I think she's talking about
go
the
like you're going into the property.
intermittent, like you gotta go to the center of the
Go to
property.
the center of the
Oh,
property.
I'll get you the page number. Here we go. Ready?
I don't have that in the 100 series. As a complaint.
Well, no, I'm talking about, I don't even know how to describe it. It's on the left side of the large bordering vegetated wetland in the middle,
Mhm.
the top left. Ty and Bond said flags 110 to 117. It wasn't hydric, chop it off. That's what they did. But then they continued up and they cut more away from flags 118R to 125R.
Mhm.
Is Ty and Bond going to look at that to make sure that new line is correct?
Yes, that contract that we just signed.
Okay, I couldn't hear
That's an extension for them to go back.
and look at all the
and
revisions.
Flags that were replaced that were missing because of mowing or whatever.
Mhm.
All the moved lines. That bordering vegetated wetland, they'll recheck all of those things.
Okay,
And then they'll write us, they're not gonna come back to a meeting. We don't have to schedule a meeting for them. They're just gonna send us a report and we'll forward the report.
okay.
Because we've had cooperation so far. There's no reason to presume that wouldn't.
So
happen.
getting back to that, where the barn is, I was under the impression from Ty and Bond that that wetland went all the way to the barn.
No,
Okay, so
They
I
said-
misunderstood that.
what they said was that where the markers were
Was
was
incorrect.
in wetland.
Okay,
And when they tested farther out, there was more wetland.
right.
So that meant these guys had to go back and they had to keep testing the soil out until they found the edge. And then they put new markers.
Okay,
Now, where they put new markers, Ty and Bond will go back
right.
and they'll do some more beyond that edge and see if they like where the markers are.
So if they're not happy with it, they'll have to go out and remap it again.
Or
In
we can
theory.
choose to, I mean, it's our choice whether we want to go with Ty and Bond or with them.
Okay.
In general, we go for the larger wetlands, obviously, because that's our job.
My other question was, Ty and Bond mentioned in the same area where that intermittent stream is, there was a culvert up on the property
At the
line.
top, Yeah.
Yeah, right at the top. Is that going to be depicted on the map? Because there are other culverts that are.
Not unless they think it's relevant to the drainage.
Okay,
You know, if they look and it's an old collapsed culvert and nothing seems to be moving, changing direction when the water's moving around, then they wouldn't map that.
okay. Was there anything else? Oh, yeah. The map, I have a little bit of confusion here. In the original NRAD documentation from Goddard Consulting, they claim the property is in a flood zone X and A. But
Yes.
on the cover sheet for this map, on all of the maps, under notes, note number 5, it says it's not in a flood zone.
Most of the property is not in.
Okay,
In a, what's considered a critical flood zone. So
okay,
They all are in a flood zone. But if it's above like 100-year flood zone, then they don't have to deal with that at this stage.
okay, but but it will,
If you look at the early maps, though, you'll see that from the lower section, there's a flood zone that comes up into it and goes back down.
yeah, I think it's like zone A,
Yeah.
and then there's zone X, so that doesn't have to be
Zone
on the
X
map.
is one that you can't count.
Okay, so zone,
It's like 500-year flood zone right now, 500
Okay.
years. A is 100 years.
So A is on there.
A is on there.
So would that have to be on this particular map or that would go further?
No, if you put it on this map, you won't be able to see the flags.
Okay,
So it's on a different map. They have locus maps that show where it is in general to the world, and then they have closer maps. And then they have maps that only do flood zones and things, and they only do roads, and it's on one of those maps.
okay. My other question is, because there were flags missing, and I know that it was a long time and time goes by, animals, blah, blah, blah. Should they go forward with whatever project they want to go forward with? Would it be, would the Conservation Commission say, well, we want permanent markers for the wetlands so they don't disappear?
Usually we get permanent boundary markers where the wetlands are.
Okay,
That's done in the NOI.
That's.
That
not
would be
part
the
of
NOI?
this, That's part of an NOI,
okay.
because it's,
Wetland delineation only good for 3 years.
I mean, it could be advantageous to do it
Early.
ahead of time,
Mhm.
but, we can discuss that.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll have a fence, it's solar.
Yeah.
field.
Yeah.
Oh, and I did want to mention one last thing, that it seems as though Eastbrook is a cold water fishery. And I know,
Yes, it is.
okay, so just want to make you aware of that.
It is,
Okay,
Most of the brooks in the town are.
yes,
okay.
we have a very clean town. It's what
I guess we do, I know.
That, the Scantic is a cold water fishery. Many of the tributaries are also cold water fisheries. Do you know how to use Mass Mapper?
Yes and no, I'm learning.
There's specifically a button you can click for cold water fisheries. So when you have the streams all mapped out, you can click cold water fishery on or off, and you can see which ones, because they get darker.
And that's what the cold water fishery people say. That's it. No other map is used for that. It's just Mass Mapper.
Right.
Okay,
And the main thing that's relevant is that you get in a whole lot more trouble if you get silt in a tributary that goes into a cold water fishery, because most cold water fisheries are like that because they're gravelly bottom,
Mhm.
Very clear streams. And so if sediment comes off your property into that stream, it can really harm the wildlife that's counting on that. In fact, this very property, when several owners back, Mr. starts with a G,
Gaudette.
when he was just developing the property, he got a whole bunch of silt into that one that's perennial.
Mhm.
And he went to court and it cost him a bunch.
We've read through some of the papers.
Yeah.
They went through a lot.
Yes. And we still have all those maps. And before they even started, we spoke with them about that as an issue that was critical.
Mhm.
So they're aware.
Okay,
And yeah, it counts a lot to be a cold water fishery.
right.
It gets you extra protection.
And I guess my final question would be, because the barn is on the property, do they have to map out the track as well because it was man-made for this, so we can see where it is, or does that not matter right
The
now?
only reason I can see for doing that is that an extensive drainage system was installed under it, which could get in the way of your building or something. So you might want to figure out where it is before you plan out where your
Whatever you want.
panels go, or where your houses or whatever. It's under there and it's on our maps.
I believe you. I'm sure
So-
we require to do test pits at some point and we'll go.
Yeah,
We
there
will.
are, my understanding is there are 12-inch pipes under there.
When I looked at the files, I found photos and I went back and I couldn't find the photos. I'm like, did I hallucinate this drainage?
Yeah.
But it's,
There is extensive drainage under the track itself where the track was. I think it was mucky. It's obviously, a lot of it's in that wetland that you just mapped.
okay. So that seems like that's something that might have to be done. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Anybody else? No?
Nope.
John? Okay. It's okay. I'm sitting all that.
Oh, thanks.
Do you have her name?
I just wanted to thank you for getting the email that we sent. We have a little group of very concerned citizens for this large solar residential project that is what, the 9th or the 10th one in Hampden?
I think it's 9.
9th or 10th. You get, yeah, again, residential, the largest. And as you saw in the email, which you mentioned, we have a lot of concerns, did a lot of research, referenced the hazard. Oh, sorry.
No, not just your own voice, not necessarily.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't like my dull voice. We referenced the hazard mitigation plan that you guys are a part of, as well as the vulnerability act, and also we which was very enlightening. We were able to get a very recent study 2022 from UMass about soil erosion, which some students did, and the problems that they're having. Most recently, a solar company got fined $1 million up in Williamsburg, Mass by the AG Maura Healy.
But the erosion comes in, except for the erosion barriers they have to put in when they're doing these
Right,
things.
right. It's just a
that comes
concern.
under the NOI
Yeah, that, and that's why I
and
want
stormwater.
again, all the
stormwater
NOI
issues.
and the hillside comes in. But I just wanted to, let you guys know how concerned we are, not just for our area, for Glendale, Ames Road, for the whole town of Hampden. This is very serious. We have a huge flooding problem. We got flooded out. I don't know how many years ago, lost our pool, and we are like, a football field away from where they're going to put all the water slides, i.e. solar panels that will be cause major flooding. And
But
on
there
that,
is no project proposed in this
right.
piece.
So I'm
We
just,
can't speak to the project.
just, not to get ahead of ourselves, but
They have
just that,
presented a conceptual
uh-huh,
project to us, like 2 years ago, and to the select board and to the planning board. But this proposal to us has nothing in it about any project. They could do,
this
they could
project,
put a skyscraper on here.
Oh.
It-
this project was presented to you 2 years ago?
They gave us a general picture of what they wanted to do,
Uh-huh.
and we told them everything that we've talked about. that
What,
it
and
was
wasn't the land only
perennial
per,
stream, and that there were lots and lots and lots of wetlands,
yeah,
and they looked through all the old maps,
and they said no problem?
etc.
Yeah,
But that's
Um,
almost every group that has a large project
yeah,
comes in a little bit ahead of time of the formal proposal, even for an ANRAD, to talk about what we see as the issues there
mhm,
and what things we want to see on those maps.
mhm.
And that's the kind of thing that we
It's
talk
not a formal proposal.
It's
Right.
It's just a
Right,
courtesy visit.
right, just a feel about,
Yeah.
feel around, okay. All right, and thank you again for all your time, Conservation Committee.
Miss Judy, it was 1 year ago.
1 year ago.
1 year.
Okay, sorry. Time passes.
The email that was sent and that is being discussed on a public forum. Can I have a copy of that?
Yes,
So I can send it to my attorney and make sure that we are prepared for any and all rebuttals.
yes, I'd be glad
Because
to.
yes,
So it was like October. It wasn't, this came in February. And they had come before, like in October, I think it was October,
What do
to
you
come
need,
and say. And we said, well, there's a cold water fishery and there's, a lot of wetlands, and we talked about all those issues, and we gave them access to all the old maps so that they could see like where the drainage was and all that sort of stuff. That's not the question here, though. The question is just mapping the wetlands. They might decide all they can put back there is one house. It's always possible. Yeah.
The recording clerk couldn't get your name, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, so we've got the contract with Time Bond signed. We've got all the remarking. I would like to continue this to October 19th to give them time to check everything I
Did they give
don't-
any indication of when they'd be able to get out there?
Last time it took them longer than we expected because there's really busy. I think this is limited, so hopefully it would be as soon as possible. Last time we were pushing them with emails and we would do the same now.
Last time we
And
had to
then-
get the town administrator to
Yeah.
speak up.
We got the town administrator to call them. And what would happen on the 19th is between when they did their review, they would send us a report. We would include that in our findings, and on the 19th, we would be expecting to present the final findings. Which can be appealed to DEP, but other than that, that's kind of it. And voting on them. I've got most of them already laid out, and I think you know all the things that are in them.
Do you have something to? Do you have something? We have a person in the audience wants to speak. I didn't, you raised your
no,
hand,
no,
so I don't know
She
who.
took the word, the last thing she said was answer my question, so
Okay.
I appreciate that.
What we
Wait.
would do is as soon as we get back their report, if there's anything not perfect in it, we will send it to you so that before the findings meeting, we can get all of that fixed up.
If we can aim for the 19th, that is agreeable.
Are they gonna add that
Way down the end.
last little piece on the wetland for the other?
Yeah, we'll get
Yeah,
that
yeah.
later this week.
Yes, he's gonna do
And then
that.
I'll send another
Wait,
plan
yeah.
and then you can send that plan.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Yeah. Get a name.
You're all okay? Okay.
My name is Carolyn Sabello, 19. Since we only had access to all these new maps this afternoon, we haven't had a chance to look at it. We've been doing all the maps and checking everything. And so as of today, we're going to continue to the 19th of October. We're not going to have an opportunity to point anything out at that point. That we're not going to do a timeline.
Yes, you can speak at the October 19th meeting for sure.
Something on the map for homework. You can speak up at that meeting.
Yes.
Map will not be finalized.
It will be finalized by the end of the meeting, but you could,
I could ask.
yeah, sure. And it's, so you didn't get a copy of the new revised version of the
We
maps?
got it today at 3:00.
Okay, all right,
Time to look at it.
yeah.
Time about
It takes a lot of reading and looking.
it. We gotta pull everything. Not experts.
It takes, I took 3 days, so don't feel bad.
It was longer than that.
Spend a lot of time on these things. Because you have to look up all the little tiny numbers and figure out where things are.
I have another.
Mhm.
Where are you?
All the.
What's your name, please, sir?
Joe Galvani, about 594. We've got these other solar farms. They're put on open fields that aren't being used. This is unique. This is a hillside that has flooding. You have to chop trees down to build it. There's many things. There's 600 elevation. That I know you guys go through all of this stuff, but does it even big picture, common sense, make sense to put something like this right there?
That question goes to planning board. We can address each of the separate issues, and I think they're all very valid issues. The slope, the trees, the habitat, the stormwater, all of those things we can address when a project is proposed on the property, which it isn't to us at this point. The big picture, the only boards that have any say in that, does it belong here? Question are the planning board and the select board. So that's who you should talk to right away. The other thing to remember is that we have very limited bylaws. And so if you're looking to future projects, it's a good thing to be speaking to maybe to the select board about being on the next committee that upgrades the bylaws. I think they're minimal personally and could be very much improved. But they have to get developed, then they have to go through the town council to make sure they're legal. And they have to go through the state council to make sure they think they're legal. Then they have to get voted on in town meeting. So now's a good time to start. Don, did you have anything to add to that? Yeah, so the best things to do about that kind of overview question. So you can volunteer, which is really a smart thing to do. Gives you what, there aren't very many volunteers in town. Volunteers have a lot to say.
So I think, we also should apply the fact that because we're a small town, we rely on volunteers, we're kind of wide open for, projects like this, because we don't have good bylaws. And like other bigger towns, so we're kind of wide open, the creditors, if you will.
It's true.
True.
Okay,
Then what we'd have, someone have to put a proposal and get more professionals in.
yes. That's one reason we got Ty and Bond. They're a big, highly respected company. If it went to DEP would probably side with them. They would be able to hold their own anyway. What?
And I have one more question.
Okay,
When time bond was back to look at, the flag budget, are they also going to look at the soil?
are they what?
They look at the soil that they presented. and they do break
Yeah,
down.
they will look at everything that's newly presented and everything that they thought was missing when they were looking before.
Number 7, and 4.
I don't understand what you're saying.
The original soil delineations or whatever.
Mhm.
Originally showed 100% length coverage, and then when we did it on September 7th, those were these little areas. That tree was really dimensions, really eliminated 4 different types, so like if somebody checking it out.
Yes. They will look to all of that. They will check the soil, they will look around. They will count the plants. They have this special way of counting particular plants and looking at what the dominant kind of plant is. Yeah, and that can have to do with exactly where they're standing, and they put a pin where they're standing with a label and a number and all sorts of stuff. So when they go back to check, they'll stand by that pin.
They can do all of that documentation.
Yes.
The soil samples to take in.
Yes, I'm looking for the form. I can't figure out what I do with it. Okay. All right, now entertain a motion to continue.
I'll make a motion to continue this to the 19th.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. So I will send out, as soon as we get Ty and Bond's report, I will send it out to everybody. I will send you the maps
Don't confuse me. My brain hurts.
and the letter.
I can't believe I.
How soon do you think we would have the new map?
Well, it's because these are asked, so we can get it
Oh.
out psychologically.
End of the week,
Okay.
just one,
Yeah, no,
one spot, so we'll be out there tomorrow, and then we'll, bang it out.
Yes, he's going to delineate the second stream. And it turned out he'd already moved the other section that was by the barn that I wanted to double check. Yeah, he's gonna go out and do it like right away, so that by the time Ty and Bond gets out there, they have to get the contract
Meaning those-
and get the money into the account. And then they'll set it up and then they'll go. So I'm guessing at least a week before they get out there.
He says he'll probably have his updated map with about a week and a half, just. No, about a week? Okay,
End
so
of this week. we'll-
end of this week, so you'll have,
Get it
so
done.
you'll have those maps.
All right,
that
and I will
we can
resend
send
that.
out, yeah,
Stream, so.
or people can
Pretty
come get.
straightforward. So I'll email that over.
Mhm.
And then that can go to Time Bond, and then I'll kind of package up all the updated wetland
Yeah,
forms, so you can just send time. I'll put a
and then
link.
Bonnie will post all of those on the
Yeah.
website so that.
It's all
people can
stuff that
download
I've
them.
already emailed, but I'll just put it all in one spot, and then you can just give Time Bond it'll be like a digital folder. Just click on it, download get all the forms and everything.
Perfect.
It'll all just be organized for them, make it easy. Make it easy for Bonnie.
As much as possible. Okay, we'll see you all on the 19th.
So. Until
Oh,
next
no.
time.
Oh, got a two,
Here's-
sorry. Gotta do two.
Yes. I didn't have you sign the Eversource one.
Yeah, we did it. We did Stafford.
Oh, okay.
And would you just give me here, both, these are both doing two Glendale?
Thank you.
Why are we doing two Glendale?
Because it's easier not to have to make a copy.
Oh. Should we vote?
Um,
Oh, we're not done.
You don't close the meeting.
so we continue the hearing. to-
Continue the hearing, but I mean
Continue the
whole
hearing.
meeting.
That's what I'm asking. Are we
Guys, have a
going?
good night.
No,
Good night, thank you.
I'm sorry. Oh. I can't tell who's talking. Sorry. Don't be so bored. Come on.
This is Eversource that I forgot to sign.
I got like an 18-month-old and a pregnant wife, so
Oh,
life is hard right
It's fun, but
Yeah,
exhausting.
like if you get that's go home to, so like life is okay.
Yeah.
Life-
Puppies and kids understand. They take a lot of time.
But it's even not hard. Like I'm just having a baby. Like, I love it. Like,
It's
very
also
hard.
work.
It's very rewarding. Yeah. You live inside.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry about the mess up today.
Please, sir.
I had a crash course.
Sir, I appreciate it. Again, we got it done.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
And then everybody's like looking at you.
I made up
Surrender.
the order and conditions, so you can get all the details.
And Judy, if you can send me an electronic copy of those, I'll include it in the minutes.
Yeah.
The ones from earlier, the two earlier ones. I tried to get them verbatim, but you know, not that good.
Yeah, which,
The orders of conditions for.
oh, yes, I
Yes.
will send you those.
Yeah, that way I'll put them in. the minutes.
So we continue? Yeah, we got more to do.
Eversource?
Yes, just a couple.
Yes.
things.
I can't.
All right,
Andrew.
okay. Yep, Greg had to leave.
Who is this coming in at this time, right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. See you on-
Everybody signs, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Andrew can't sign.
I can't
Oh,
sign it.
right,
Greg's not here, so.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we have to go over?
yeah.
She said, wait a minute, there's, yeah.
Secretary tomorrow about this case, about this dead teenager. I hope that
I've been putting recused so that way if it doesn't make it into the minutes, we always have a little protection.
Yep.
All right, the, okay, we still have to need a site visit to the Burns property. The one by the river. And I talked extensively to Melissa Cheeseman at Natural Heritage. Apparently, they don't keep their plans. They periodically just throw everything out. They weren't digitizing anything or whatever. And his plan was created in 2016, but it's still in effect. But they don't have the plan. So Bonnie's looking for it in our stuff. Said they don't always send us the plan. They just say he has a plan. And she's going to write Mr. Burns and ask him if he can come up with the plan. If not, we'll have to ask him to get a new plan. So that we have something, because one of the things when looking at the photos, she doesn't have the old plan, but she said she was guessing, and I'm guessing that he had permission for one area and he's moved it left. So that's what we have to check up on. And there's a forestry issue coming through from Howard Green, who has the one little property between this Antic and Minnesota Mountain.
Kind of
it's
in back
this
of
Ginger
the
Green's old
Old
property.
hardware store area.
Yeah, it's kind of a long skinny piece. And, it's a pretty reasonable acreage.
Okay.
18
Probably at one
acres, I
time,
think.
200 years ago, there was probably a bridge to it.
It was, no, it was
Oh, was
forested
there?
40 years ago. And the way they got there was to go through Nick Turnberg's property, which is right next to the Minnetonka Mountain entrance at South Road, and up and over through Minnetonka land, which now has a conservation restriction on it. Yeah. And it's also, they didn't have things like natural heritage there. It's all natural heritage property. So I'm sure that it will come around to us since we're one of the managers too. We're trying to first work out all the legal parts and then we'll come back to the commission. But just so you know, it's out there. And then there's a long list of people wanting driveways and other things that are, I think there are 7 or 8 NOI RDAs out there.
Yeah, we're gonna be
That we
meeting probably
expect.
twice a month for a while.
Yeah, I think through October at least, and maybe November. Okay. All right.
You need a bag boy? You need a baggage boy?
Just keep in mind, if there is storm duty or whatever,
Yes,
I won't
as it
be
gets
here either,
worse.
so you might,
And we
gotta-
did send a letter after we had spoken about it to the board. Requesting that Cindy be appointed, and they postponed it twice, and I think they went into executive commit, meeting this last Monday, but no answer, which I think is maybe a bad sign.
how many
but
open seats do
We're
we
just
have?
guessing. Huh?
We got so many open seats.
One, we can have 7 members. Unless we revise the
how many
bylaws. Some
alternates?
towns have 14.
I was gonna say, I thought Wilbraham.
You can have more,
How
because
many-
it just says, it says you can have.
How many alternates
up
are
to
we?
7. We don't have any alternates.
Yeah, how many?
Oh,
are-
there is no
associated.
rule about alternates.
So maybe we should look to,
But they can't.
Yeah, you
but,
can't-
but if you don't have a quorum, right?
As a
They
associate
can't.
member?
So if you don't have a quorum, they can't count?
Nope, they don't have.
Oh,
Well, then, yeah, it doesn't really help.
But they can get informed so that later when,
Yeah.
but then the select board has to appoint them as a member. So if we ever revise the rules, I think I would strongly recommend having 10 members, just so it'd be a little bit easier on people.
a lot of work to change the bylaw.
Yeah, you could do that. You could say alternates could vote. Those are things you can add to the state rules. You can't detract from them. So I don't, and I know that Wilbraham has like 12.
I was gonna say, they have a lot.
East Long Meadow also has a lot. Some of them do.
Yeah.
They have 2 people I think they get paid, a clerk and a
Yeah.
conservation administration person.
We are,
Bob is
we are
working on it,
videoing
conservation.
people. We need to move it.
On
Not
our,
going very far.
on
very
our
fast.
scheduling for site visits,
Yes,
the 0 Stafford Road, are we able to go to see the Burns property after or before?
I know.
that's a good idea.
Let's make both on that at the same time, because
Yeah,
Well, it'll be like 15 minutes at each, 20 minutes at each
Yeah.
max, because we'll be dark.
I think that one is pretty quick. Stafford.
Well, it depends if he starts to argue.
Well,
we could-
we have,
Aren't-
we have
aren't you
2
going
ways we
on?
could see the Burns property. We have permission to go into Mr. D'Angelo's property,
Oh,
which
we're
is
not
to-
going on the other one.
which is directly across the road.
Right.
Oh.
I think you can see everything you need, except we can't measure the distance to the truck.
Yeah.
you gotta arrange,
Alternatively, we can call Mr. Burns and we can ask him to let us on, but it's probably easier just to go to Mr.
anybody have a rangefinder?
Hmm,
You can do a rangefinder to the truck, figure out the distance, and you can do a rangefinder to a set object next to the river, do your subtraction.
Anybody have one?
I don't, I don't have one.
It might just be out of this.
Yeah,
So, yeah, so if we can arrange those together, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of closing the meeting?
I,
All those opposed?
Monday I'm gonna do.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sort all these out and do all the mailings and I'll just drop them back at the office later.
all right,
Because
so
my
we're all
file's now a
done?
complete mess.
We're done.